Hi, Richie.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, everyone. And welcome to episode 17?
I think it's 18.
18? Let me double check. No, it's 17.
Oh, wow.
15 was Monument to Lemmings, and 16 was Putty Street.
Yeah. That's what it is.
And today, we're going to talk about that two-ladder climb that leads from Forbidden Woods Caves up to the graveyard near Iosefka's clinic. Recommended by Devon.
Thank you,
Devon.
Thank you, Devon. Is it Devon or Devon?
Well, I call them Devon because it sounds like demon, because they also recommended an episode on the stove. And I don't appreciate that.
It's like colorless green ideas sleep furiously.
What?
It's just like a sentence that kind of makes sense grammatically, but I called them Devon because they recommended an episode about the stove. This is it's like the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 when the AI starts breaking down and you get these weird messages.
But Devon knew what they were doing. Do you know how I know that they knew?
How?
They did not say, could you do an episode on the altar in the dungeons? Do you know what they called it?
They called it the stove.
The stove. That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm on to you, Devon. Okay, Richie. So, it's the two-ladder climb. So we're talking about that area.
Yes.
So could you tell me the official name in English?
I don't believe that it has an official name in English because the cave has a name.
What's the cave's name?
The cave is called Subterranean Cave.
Subterranean? Subterrano?
Yep. They share a common root. So, the cave is called Subterranean Cave, and the graveyard is just called Graveyard.
Okay.
So
then this would be
doesn't-
called like ladder.
Are you sure? Because there's a lot of ladders in the game.
Okay, so we're gonna have to think of a name by the end. There's two ladders,
Right. Yeah.
and they're long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Could you please describe this spot?
It's two ladders. One is well. From what direction are we describing the ladders? Are we going
The bottom.
From the bottom up. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first ladder begins at the back of Subterranean Cave.
Huh.
Although that's interesting because the place where you enter the Subterranean Cave is called Subterranean Cave Rear.
Okay.
Which implies the ladder is at the top of Subterranean Cave.
Uh-huh.
I think the whole cave area with all the poison water in it is called Subterranean Cave Rear. So it begins at the rear of Subterranean Cave Rear.
Uh-huh.
And there's a pile of like bones at the bottom. And you climb up and up and up. You go past it's like sedimentary rock. You see all these like bodies embedded in the rock, and there's tomb mold growing there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've been in the chalices, you start thinking, seen tomb mold before.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory that the chalices are actually under Yharnam.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'd say is like what the game's been getting at, and then you just access them via a convoluted method that makes it seem like they're somewhere else. And then also they added
Richard, reiterate what you just said.
What?
Amazing discovery.
Yeah.
Are you saying the tombs are underneath Yharnam?
Yeah, I think the clue is when they say the labyrinth carved out beneath Yharnam. That's probably one of the big giveaways.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you climb up and up and up and up and up. It's very long.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pop out at the bottom of a tomb. So like You pop out and you're in a grave, and it's like, oh, okay. So now I'm in like a kind of rectangular brick area, and there's all these
Mhm.
bodies down here, and they're not as decayed as the ones at the bottom. And there's like wood and stuff, so I'm like, okay, I'm at the surface. Where am I? And then there is in front of you another ladder. You climb that ladder, and you pop out the top of a grave in Iosefka's clinic.
Hmm.
Mm.
Thank you.
So to reiterate, it's a ladder that goes from the cave to the inside of like a tomb, and then another ladder that goes from that tomb to the surface.
Thank you. And when was this built?
Well, we actually recorded a whole thing about it because it's really kind of confusing, the chronology of the Iosefka stuff.
Just the ladder. Just tell me a year. When was the ladders built?
Well, can we? That's going to be longer than you think. Like to go
Give me
into.
a year. Is it 1950s? Is it 1830s? Is it 1720s?
It was built in probably like late 2014, I think, when they were frantically redesigning this area because the original pathway didn't work for some reason.
Okay.
Okay, so the thing about the
Oh,
ladder
wait, you're
is,
actually gonna
yeah,
go and
yeah,
explain.
you have
Wow,
an
Richie, you're
outline.
taking this seriously. Go ahead.
We have an outline.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the weird chronology of the Iosefka stuff because all evidence points to, in the actual clinic, that the Healing Church like just showed up and took over that night, right? Because like everything's run by Iosefka. Then after we beat Gascoigne, suddenly the Healing Church have taken over. So it seems to happen very rapidly, but at the same time, there's so much Healing Church stuff down in that cave. There's like blood gems, there's corpses, there's giants, there's the antidotes, there's the white church set and everything. And we know that the Healing Church have been coming and going from Bergenworth, and they haven't been using the door that you need the password for because it's still locked. So, and also like that's a really, really like long ladder.
Right.
So we know also that like, well, the Healing Church seem to have been coming and going through this grave for a really long time. So you end up with this very strange. You can kind of make sense of it by saying, okay, they were coming and going through the grave for a really long time, and Iosefka didn't know. And then because they were using that grave, they knew about the clinic, and that's when they sort of moved to take it over. So they've been coming and going through the grave, but they didn't take over the clinic until the night that we're playing it. So what I'm getting at is like the ladder is very ramshackle. It's like it's just bits of wood that have been tied together with rope. It's like clearly, it actually there's all this broken wood and stuff in the tomb that you pop out of. So it almost looks like they made it out of stuff that they found. Like they just had all these old supports and stuff, and they made this ladder out of it. So everything about it, like, you have to assume it was made some time ago to explain all the Healing Church stuff under it, but at the same time, it feels like they only had a presence in the actual clinic itself recently. So it's a very odd, like, it's sort of contradictory in a lot of ways.
Okay. Thank you, Richie. Who built it?
It's a really good question because, like, there's a lot of Healing Church stuff down there. They've been dumping stuff there for a really long time. So, like, it probably wasn't Iosefka.
Was it the Giants?
Would they be good at? I mean, they wouldn't fit. That's a bit of a problem.
Maybe there was a miscalculation in the
Yeah.
actual plan. It was supposed to be bigger
Oh,
ladders.
they got like feet and centimeters confused or something.
Yes.
Feet and meters, yeah.
Exactly.
They're like, here it is. It's like 1 foot wide, and they're like, no, it was 1 meter. Shit.
Ooh, damn.
Sort of thing Lawrence would be really mad about if he weren't dead.
so sad when you get there. They're like, darn, we messed it up.
Actually, yeah, they can't physically get out of there. They're too big. Like they can't fit through either passage that gets them out of the
So
cave.
how did they get there in the first place?
I presume they found them there.
But how did they can't leave, so how did they get in,
Because it's like a collapsed part of the ruin. Like they must have been there and then it collapsed. So they just stayed there.
Wow, I guess they don't complain. They're
undead. I mean, the ones in the dungeons just hang around in boss rooms for like thousands of years doing nothing.
Wow, they're very patient people.
Yeah.
Huh. Very zen if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they must like do a lot of meditation and self-care and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they look like it.
Yeah.
It's like bits of exposed bone and giant tumors. You're like a lot of self-care going on here. Especially that one that doesn't have hands. Just has a pair of blades.
Oh, what did we say those were? We came up
You
with an
had something
explanation.
about like they were used to light things.
They're stoves. I think they're like portable stoves.
Oh, so
walking
Devin
microwaves.
got the stove wish.
Oh no! Well, it's okay. This is a different stove.
So like how you've come up with two different stoves in Bloodborne, ignoring that there is actually like a stove in Old Yarnum that we've never talked about.
There's a literal stove in Old Yarnum?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I think I found a way around Devin's suggestion.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, Devin. We don't know what you mean by the stove. It must be the stove in Old Yarnum that Richard just mentioned.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
No, and let's see how many other stoves we can get, because like
Stoves of Bloodborne.
the smoking up a cathedral ward could be a stove.
But we decided it's a shisha lounge.
Well, it could, but it's like it's Bloodborne. It can mean anything.
No, it's a shisha lounge, Richie.
Okay, it's a shisha lounge.
It has a name.
Yeah. The place Lawrence burning on the altar, he's kind of in a stove.
How so?
Because he's on fire and like boiling.
Huh.
Mm.
Maybe are you saying that the altar he's on is just really hot?
Yeah, why not?
So like it's not that he's symbolically on fire, it's just like he's sitting in a really hot seat. He's on the hot seat, literally and figuratively. That's deep.
Honestly, that's something you would see in like a 45-minute video essay. We find Lawrence burning, but there's a subtext to it. Think about it. He's on the hot seat, literally and figuratively. This is such a genius move.
Thank you.
Anyway.
You just gave me a vision, Richie.
No.
The rise and fall of the little slug who could not tell a lie.
Now, I believe we've done what and where and who built it. So there's other questions you have.
But people don't know what I'm referring to because that conversation was not recorded.
Yeah, for good reason.
But it's then they'll find out in the future. Okay. Which materials were used?
Wood.
Wood? Okay. Which materials would be used?
Thank you, Sin.
Where is it located?
It's a mistake to record at this time of day, I think, because you're a bit hyper.
Where is it located?
Interesting question. Because Devin specified the 2-ladder climb. So half of it is in the cave. Half of it is in Iosefka's clinic. It's actually quite interesting. I'll just pull up my chair a bit. You see, the game does an interesting thing with that area where it considers you when you're in that cave, it considers you to have left Yharnam but not arrived at Forbidden Woods yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in a sort of weird limbo, and that lets you screw around with some of the NPC triggers. So if you go down into that cave, even though you haven't gone to Forbidden Woods yet, it will trigger patches to appear behind a window in Yharnam.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was widely beforehand.
Okay.
This is hot. This is just like, when I overturned, I'm the fucking Galileo of Bloodborne. I overturned everyone's thinking. It was widely believed beforehand that the way you triggered patches was he appeared when you got the Forbidden Woods title card.
Okay.
So, like, you played, and then as soon as you saw the boom, Forbidden Woods, that's the trigger for patches. And it isn't. It's actually just that cave can trigger it before you see the title card.
Ah.
No, but it's more interesting than that.
Okay.
It's more interesting if you'd let me finish this fascinating dissection. So the other thing that is triggered by the Forbidden Woods title card is Eileen, right?
Uh-huh.
So what happens is Eileen's quest, the first time you meet her, if you completely ignore her, the trigger for her disappearing is you entering Forbidden Woods, and then she's just gone from the game. And if you let her kill Henrik, the trigger for her going blood drunk is you entering Forbidden Woods. So you get the boom Forbidden Woods thing, right?
Hmm.
So you'd think, oh, okay, is that also just going into the cave then? Because that's Patch's trigger, and it's not. Eileen, her trigger literally is the Forbidden Woods title card. So what I'm getting at is that, I was able to demonstrate, and once I told Meph about this, there was quite a lot of research done. It was fascinating. A lot of extremely in-depth documentation was produced that showed it was possible to not have progressed Eileen's quest line, but still trigger patches to appear. Because previously that was thought to be impossible. So the way you do it is you glitch into the cave at the start of the game, run down, go into the cave, but don't leave it through the back entrance, climb back up again. Then when you go to Gilbert's window, you will get patches. But Eileen's quest will stay the same, so you can then go and meet Eileen. And nothing will have changed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So what was the point of this?
I thought that as well when I was writing it up, but I mean, if you want to do what, where, why, and you've got me here, this is the sort of answers you're going to get. It's not. Someone somewhere might find a use for that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's a good point.
Here's a use for it, for example. If you want to glitch in there at the start of the game, run down the ladder, run back up again, grab the tonsil stone from Patches at Gilbert's window. Then you can progress Eileen's quest line, but also skip ahead to the Nightmare Frontier and get a bunch of stuff. Without, you can do that.
Or let's say somebody needs to study for their medical exam or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, I have no motivation, but then they turn this on and this podcast motivates them. And then they study and they become a super duper doctor and then they cure cancer.
I thought you were going to say they put the podcast on and it's so fucking boring that they go back to studying.
Either way, we could be contributing to the betterment of humanity.
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm just
Thank you, Richie.
There's more questions, surely.
Why was it built?
To facilitate travel to and from subterranean cave.
What's its current purpose?
To facilitate travel to and from subterranean cave. I mean, if you want to get specific, the purpose is that they need a way to get to and from the woods without going through the locked door in Cathedral Ward because no one knows the password, even though it's written on a thing like directly in the Grand Cathedral. If you want to learn the password, do this. They just haven't done that yet.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Who utilized the letters before?
Well, we can assume everyone who, like all the Healing Church corpses that we find in Forbidden Woods, must have utilized this ladder. Like, so yeah, actually, quite a lot of characters used it. So, like, Imposter Iosefka probably used it at some point. Yuri used it because she's in Bergenworth. The corpse with the white church set on it must have used it. The suspicious beggar would have used it to get to and from, like, because he's in the woods, so he must have gone through there. Yeah.
Oh.
There's like a bunch of corpses that have hunter tools on them and stuff like blue elixir
Mm-hmm.
that are just outside where the cave entrance is. So they have Yarnamite clothing on, but presumably they're meant to be Healing Church people who are undercover as Yarnamites.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the corpse with the blue elixir would have used the ladder. The corpse with the beast roar would have used the ladder. There's a snatcher
Mm-hmm.
who spawns there if you've done blood starved beasts. So, like, they must have used the ladder because they couldn't have gone down there otherwise. So, actually, it's probably like maybe the most used ladder in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. You just gave me a vision.
I'd say the only ladder that got more use would have been the one to where Ligarius is, because like all the executioners would have had to climb it to get to him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I just got a vision where it's just like everybody's using the ladder, and then the giants have like a little coffee stall and a muffin stall. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people use it. There's a lot of traffic. So
Yeah.
if you have like food stalls, you can actually like make money.
Yeah.
So like the snatchers pass by and they go to the little like stall with the muffins and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey Bob." And Jen's like, "Hello, Jenny. Oh, how's it going?"
Snatcher's name is Jenny now.
I had to name them on the fly. Okay, just
You didn't have to name them. You could have just said hi. Or like hi giant, hi snatcher.
No, but they have names. They don't call each other giant number 1, giant number 2. That's ridiculous.
They don't seem to call each other anything, they just sort of moan.
So yeah, so they pass by and it's like, "Hey Bob," and the giant's like, "Hey Jenny," and then the snatcher's like, "So I'll have the usual," and Bob is like, "Here you go, your latte." What did the people take? Like, what is the name of a fancy latte thing, Richie? Pumpkin spice? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
With whipped cream and chocolate?
You know, I got the ingredients to make pumpkin spice. I haven't done it yet, but
The
they're in
coffee?
the cupboard. No, the spice.
Okay, but we're talking about coffee. Anyway, so it's okay. It doesn't matter because Jenny's a regular, so Bob knows her orders. So Bob is like, here's your thing, Jenny. And Jenny's like, "Thank you, Bob." And then like, people just pass by and buy like coffee and muffins from those little stalls that are like operated by the giants. And the giant is like much bigger than the actual stall, so it's really cute.
Yeah. So where are the stalls located?
Like on the side, like around, because the cave is pretty big, so you can have like.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I don't really remember there being any stalls where you could buy pumpkin spice lattes there.
You know what? This cave. Okay. So this cave.
I can tell you why. It's because we don't go down there till night, and they've packed up.
I was thinking deeper.
Of course you were.
The cave is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
So like, the giants are really smart, and so.
Not the impression I got, but go on.
Let's say, you know what? Like, people aren't into coffee anymore. They drink blood now. Everything in Yarnum is blood. Blood this, blood that. So the whole stall business isn't working out in the cave.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do, they're going to put away the stalls and convert the cave into a bowling alley.
Why specifically a bowling alley?
It's just in my vision.
So nothing to do with like there's a long like narrow passage that you could use as a bowling alley. It's not that. And
Maybe my vision is subliminal. I don't know. But that's what they were doing. They were actually turning the space into a bowling alley. So that's why you don't see the stalls when you go there.
so the flaming boulder, that's like a trial for the bowling alley.
Yes. Yep.
And over time they perfected it and realized that the ball would be safer if it weren't on fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you see, in this timeline, pins have not been invented yet. So what they
Right.
do is they hired those worms
Right.
to act as pins. That's why you see them in the...
So they hired the worms.
Yeah. So the worms just gotta stand still and then, like, you know...
They don't do a very good job of standing still. If you go in, they all swarm you. Actually, there is like a narrow cave with a bunch of those worms like at the end of it.
Okay.
So that's kind of like a bowling alley. There's a blood gem there, so that could be the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just awful.
Thank you, Richie. Now we have to answer, who occupies, utilizes it now?
The same people as before.
Specifically,
Well, the Healing Church are presumably still using it. This is what I mean about the timeline being weird, because it's not clear, like, how long this stuff has been there. It feels like it's been there for a long time, but it weirdly implies that this happened tonight. Yeah.
And one last question.
Certainly.
What is our name for the location?
Well, you decided it was a bowling alley.
Yeah.
You said we're actually just talking about the ladder, not the cave. So it would be the entrance to the bowling alley.
Entrance to the bowling alley. Perfect.
This is like Frank Grimes on The Simpsons when he's like, I live in an apartment above a bowling alley and below another bowling alley.
What? That's ridiculous.
Oh, you're right. The Simpsons doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, Richie. Do the outro.
That was What, Where, Why Locations of Bloodborne, episode 17, Ladder Climb / Bowling Alley Entrance.
Thank you, Richie.
Thank you, Sin, and thank you, Devin.
Thank you, Devin. And thank you, everyone, for listening. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.